Good morning, everyone. Hope you can hear me and see me. I'm here with Dan Gullahorn, our 2020 president. We are happy that you've joined us this morning. We're sorry that we could not feed you breakfast this morning and you couldn't be here with us in person, but we're happy that you've joined us. And I'm going to go ahead and let Dan give some opening remarks for us this morning.
Thank you, Windii. Again, we appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning to talk about the clear cooperation policy. This is something that's been handed down to us from NAR, and it's going to go into effect very soon. So we wanted to reach out to the brokers and make sure that they understood the policy and had a clear understanding of it so that they could communicate that to their agents, and that we could have a smooth transition into what's going to be a little bit different way of bringing things to market. Please understand that we don't have any choice on the implementation of this. It was mandated by NAR, and so we had to bring it as a rule to our membership. And Windii's going to spend some time going through a presentation to hopefully answer any questions that you have. You do have the option of raising your hand to ask questions, and I think that Windii would prefer that you let her go all the way through the presentation and save your questions for the end, and allow her to answer any at that time. So again, thank you for being with us this morning, and I'm going to pitch it back to Windii and let her get started.
Thank you, Dan. Again, as Dan said, I'm happy to take questions this morning as we go along. What I will probably do is go through my entire presentation and then stop to look to see if we do have some questions from everyone here that's on the webinar. And I'm happy to, I will be able to unmute you right now. Everyone's muted, but I will be able to unmute you if you have a question, and we can communicate that way. So I will go ahead and get started and stop sharing my webcam here so you can see the presentation. All right, so we're gonna hide all webcams. There we go. All right, so this morning, of course, we're talking about the clear cooperation policy. This is something that has come directly from NAR. So this is a little bit of background as to where it came from. The policy came directly from an NAR advisory board and was developed to foster broker cooperation and address the problems surrounding off-market listings. This policy has become known as the Clear Cooperation Policy. It was passed by the NAR Board of Directors in November of 2019 and is mandatory for every MLS to implement by May 1st of this year. So we're going to get to how soon we're going to implement this here in just a minute, but we have had several meetings, obviously, with our MLS meeting. Our MLS committee meeting, as well as board of directors. We've got everything in place now, ready to go. So that's what we are going to learn about this morning. So that is just a little bit of the background. Here is the actual clear cooperation policy. States within 1 business day of marketing a property to the public, the listing broker must submit the listing to the MLS for cooperation with other MLS participants. Public marketing includes, but is not limited to, flyers displayed in windows, yard signs, digital marketing on public-facing websites, brokerage website displays, including IDX and VAL, digital communications marketing, which would be email blasts to a group of people, multi-brokerage listing sharing networks, which would actually be a Facebook group, and that does apply to our local market here. We do have some realtor Facebook groups out there, and applications available to the general public. So this is what has been placed into our rules and regulations. This is actually going to be put into place on April 1st of this year. So what this means a little bit, let's just kind of explore this a little bit further. As we sit now, and this rule does not change with the clear cooperation policy coming into play, agents have 5 business days to enter a listing into the MLS after all necessary signatures of the sellers have been obtained on their listing agreement. Those are for listings that are located in Escambia or Santa Rosa counties. So this is a mandated rule. It's been in place since I've been here, and I've been here about 11 years. It's nothing new. Agents do have 5 business days to enter listings in. What changes is when the listing is marketed publicly, then the agent has 1 business day to enter it into the PAR MLS. So that 5-day rule still applies as long as the listing is not being marketed in any of the ways that we went over just a minute ago. So you still have 5 business days as long as you're not marketing that to anyone to put that in. So let's talk a little bit about what the Clear Cooperation Policy applies to. And it actually only applies to existing residential properties. This is the only thing that the Clear Cooperation Policy will be applicable to. So does not apply to the following categories: residential new construction. It does not apply to Clear Cooperation. So if you do have residential that is new construction, it can be marketed before it goes into the MLS. That is not an issue. It's going to follow that 5-day rule just like everything else. Land does not apply to the Clear Cooperation Policy. Rentals do not apply to the Clear Cooperation Policy. Multifamily does not apply. Commercial sales and commercial lease does not apply. So you do not have to worry about any of these categories as far as marketing your listings publicly before they go into the MLS. We are only worried about it, and it only applies to those existing residential properties that you are listing for sale. All right, so what constitutes marketing a listing publicly? Let's go into that just a little bit further. Placing a sign in the yard. This is probably going to be the most difficult one for agents to follow, because I know that there are times that your sign people put things in the yard too early, but what you're going to have to be doing is communicating with these people, with these vendors that you have, to make sure that that sign does not go into the yard too early. Then you get turned in and then have to place that listing into the MLS earlier than you had planned, you and your seller had planned. So a sign in the yard does constitute marketing that publicly. Advertising the listing on any website. So we're talking a brokerage site, we're talking social media, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere that the public can see it online is going to be considered advertising the listing to the public. So you're going to have to be very careful about marketing that early online. That will trigger this policy. Handing out or posting flyers. So if you're doing that, if you've got them out in out somewhere where somebody can get them, be careful with that as well. Any kind of digital communications marketing. So we're talking email blast. So if you have a group of brokers or agents that you communicate with and you send your new listings to, be very careful. Make sure you're sending those in the time frame that you're allotted. Make sure that you're not sending those out too early so that you then will have to be forced to put that listing in earlier than you really wanted to. Multi-brokerage listing sharing networks. So I know we have a local, kind of a local realtor group that is a Facebook group that a lot of our agents belong to. And this would also count as marketing your listing publicly. So if look at it this way, anything that's outside of your brokerage will be considered publicly marketing. So you're fine to email blast it within your brokerage, within your agent, in your office. All of those are allowable to actually email out to. You can share that listing within your brokerage. But as soon as it goes outside of your brokerage, that is considered marketing a listing publicly. So let's talk about this as well. Marketing a listing publicly is not limited to the listing agent. If the listing is found to be marketed publicly by anyone, then it will be required to be uploaded into the MLS within 1 business day. So if you have an anxious seller who decides to post that they're selling their house, here's some pictures of the house that we're selling, and somebody catches that, then they will be forced to put that listing in within 1 business day. So you want to be sure that you're communicating well with your sellers, with people in your office, with anybody who has the ability to post this listing out to the public. So it does not just count for the listing agent to do that. If it is caught being marketed by anyone and it is turned into us, then we will consider that public marketing, and we will send a citation to be placed into the MLS within 1 business day. So let's talk about the violation. So what happens when my sign guy puts up the sign early? So if you communicate with your sign people and they accidentally put it up a day early and somebody turns it into us, there's something that you do need to know, and that there are no automatic fines with the Clear Cooperation policy. In other words, we're going to give you 1 business day to correct the violation that has happened. So if the department finds the listing in violation, if it gets turned into us, a citation email will be sent to the listing agent and a copy to the broker. And this will let them know that they will be given 1 business day to place the listing into the MLS as active, coming soon, or, and please ignore that, that is a typo actually. You cannot put it in as brokerage exclusive if you're marketing publicly. So I apologize, that is not correct. So you would be able to put it in as an active or a coming soon. Brokerage exclusive means that you are saving it just for your brokerage to be able to list and sell. And therefore, if you do market a brokerage exclusive, then it does have to go either as an active property. So I apologize for that mistake in my presentation there. So you would need to put it into the MLS as a coming soon or as an active listing once you get that citation notice. Fines will only be assessed if the listing agent does not comply with the citation email. So we're talking about 1 business day. So if it's the weekend, you would actually have, through the weekend to comply, but then you would also have 1 business day to make that right. So you would get 24 hours of a business day to put the listing in without getting any violations for the Clear Cooperation policy. If you find a Clear Cooperation violation, we do have means for you to send it in to us to let us know about that. So we ask for you to send some detailed information if you do find that someone is marketing a property after April 1st, 2020, and you cannot find it in the MLS. You can turn that into violations at PensacolaRealtors.org. What we need for you to do is include some things for us so that we can, so we have some information. So we need the address of the property, we need the listing agent, and then we're going to need some kind of proof as to what the violation is. So we would need a screenshot if it's online somewhere. We would need a photo of the sign in the yard, possibly, if that's the violation. So we are going to put the burden of proof on the person that's turning it in. In other words, we just don't have the staff time and for us to go out and take pictures or get the proof of this violation. So we're going to be depending on others to turn that in and let us know what's going on. We will not process any reports that don't include some type of proof. So please don't send us, I saw this happen, but don't include any proof. That we would not be able to process that violation. So if you are turning them in, please make sure that you do have some type of proof, either a photo or a screenshot of what that is, so that we can then follow up and take care of that citation. So let's talk just a minute about what the violations are, because these were taken very seriously by the committee and the board of directors. The first violation, if you are caught marketing and you're sent a citation and you're told that you have 1 business day to put it in and you do not put that into the MLS, then your broker is fined $500. The broker of that listing agent. The listing agent must attend an MLS orientation within 60 days and is also placed on a 6-month probationary period. So that is the first violation. And again, there's no automatic violations. You will be given every chance to make that violation right, that citation right, before it becomes a violation. So if you happen to have a second violation while you're in the probationary period, your broker is then fined $3,000 and the listing agent is suspended from the MLS for 90 days. That is a second violation while you're in the 6-month probationary period. A second violation where you are not on the probationary period, your broker is fined $3,000. The listing agent is suspended from the MLS for 30 days. Now, when we talk about these suspensions, keep in mind that if you are the broker of the company and you get suspended, then and you are the one that has violated this policy, then your entire office will be suspended for that same amount of time because you are the participant. Your agents cannot be in the MLS and participate without you as the broker. So just be very careful about that. Just know that if you are the one that is the listing agent on the property that is in violation and you do get suspended, that would indicate that your entire office would also get suspended. The third violation and any thereafter, the broker is fined $10,000. The listing agent is suspended from the MLS for 6 months. So those are the violations as they sit, as they go in. And again, there's none of these that are automatic. These are all, we all give you a chance. We give you the 24 hours to make everything right so that you can avoid these violations. So let's talk a minute about what you should do to get ready for this. So some of the best practices for this clear cooperation policy. Communication is going to be key for you going forward. Some of the people obviously you need to communicate to is your agent. They need to understand what it means to market a listing publicly, what the implications are, what the violations are, how they can fix that if they accidentally put a sign up too early, or they accidentally push send on an email they didn't mean to. They will have that 1 business day to make it right. So be sure that you're communicating with your agent, any office assistants, anybody that markets for you, does your marketing for your office or your listings or for your agents. Make sure everybody understands the rules of this. Any sign vendors, that's probably going to be your biggest obstacle, is making sure that your sign vendors understand that they can't go a day early because that works better for them. They need to understand that you're going to have a specific date for that sign to go in the yard if you need to, to delay that listing going into the MLS. Sellers, make sure that you communicate with sellers. We actually have created a handout for your sellers, and I'm going to tell you where that's at here in just a second. that you can actually print out. It's 2 pages, and it explains to them what clear cooperation policy is and what they should not be doing as far as being able to, to violate that. So we're going to give you some help with that. So you can see that we have a link here. It is PAR, P-A-R, wiki, W-I-K-I.com. You can go directly there. You can put clear cooperation on the back of that if you want to go directly to the clear cooperation information. You're going to be able to find the definition of clear cooperation. I've got a facts area of how this all lays out, also how to report a violation, and then I also have handouts. So I talked about the seller's handout. You're going to find that on the parwiki.com site. You'll be able to find that handout. We have a 5 facts flyer that puts all of this in just very simple terms, 5 things you need to know about clear cooperation. It's something that you could print out and give to your agents. It's something you can print out and give to your sellers if you'd like to, anybody that you come in contact with. So those are the things that you need to do going forward, just knowing to communicate with everyone, make sure everybody's on the same page with this clear cooperation policy. And with that, I am happy to take any questions. I believe that I can see anybody if they raise their hand. So if somebody would like to raise their hand and ask a question, I will certainly unmute you and allow you to ask that. So I see we've got one here. So let me see if I can unmute. All right. All right. Is it Jaquai?
Jackie.
Jackie, I'm so sorry. Jackie, okay, so you are unmuted. So please go ahead and ask your question.
Traditionally, we've been able to, and I know this is outside the realm of marketing, and I had to step away, so maybe I missed this, but I've always been able to do my listing agreement and get it signed. And I was instructed early on to put in the additional terms, home to be listed on MLS within 5 days of completion of all pre-listing activities. So photography might get delayed, but you don't want to lose that listing either by not having the document signed. Is that?
That's a good practice.
No longer.
No, that's actually good practice. So what we have done is we have entered a new field called marketing date, or I'm sorry, not market, it's market date. And what that date is the date that your seller has instructed you to put it into the MLS. So if you have that in writing from your seller that, this is going to be placed in the MLS after, this many days after all of this gets done, that's absolutely fine for you.
Awesome.
To keep it out of the MLS. What we're looking for is we want to make sure you're not publicly marketing that in that time frame. So even though you have that in your listing agreement, if for some reason you put the sign up early, or you put it on your Facebook page, or you put it on your brokerage site, then you will be limited to that one business day to put it in. So this is where that comes into play. As long as you're not publicly marketing it, then you can keep it out of the MLS with your seller's instructions, and that's not an issue at all. And having that in writing is the best practice to do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, let me see if I see any other hands up. Oh, I see Jen McGuire, so let me unmute Jen here. Jen, do you have a question for us?
Yes, ma'am. Hey, Wendy. We have a Fannie Mae agent in our office, and they have expressed concern about the fact that Fannie Mae mandates them to put a posting in the window. I'm not sure on the verbiage on that. I know that probably needs to be shared so that you can tell me more where that would fall. But I think they'd had trouble with somebody mentioning to them that Fannie Mae posting would be a violation for them. And they're required, Fannie Mae through the government to have that posted. I think it's for liability. Have you heard anything about that? Do you know what that is and if that's considered marketing?
Yeah, I have heard a little bit about that. So, and I have talked to someone else about this as well. That liability notice is really not, I don't believe it's going to be considered public marketing
Okay.
because it's really just saying, hey, we Fannie Mae it now owns this property. It's not a for sale sign in the front yard. So I would not consider that. And what I've heard talked about in all the meetings, because I've attended 100 webinars and meetings about this. So from what I understand, those Fannie Mae signs or the little things that you have to put in the window is not going to be considered public marketing. So,
Okay, excellent. So
yeah.
even if something does come in, she doesn't need to be panicked about that.
Absolutely,
Okay,
yeah.
excellent.
Now, if it was
Thank
a sign
you.
in the yard, yes, but with that little posting there in the window, from what I understand, that is not going to be considered public marketing.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let me see if I have any other hands up. All right, Mark Porter. See if I can unmute you. Okay, Mark, you are self-muted. Can you unmute yourself there?
Okay. Hey, Wendy.
There you are. Hey, Mark.
Hey, just a quick question here. Does this eliminate the coming soon sign altogether? And you may have said that already, but I missed it.
So a coming soon sign would obviously be public marketing. So
Okay.
if you have a sign that says coming soon on it, then it would have to be put in to the MLS as a coming soon property within that one
Okay.
business day of the sign. Yeah.
Okay, so they can still do the coming soon, but just has to have that market date in there. And
right. Yeah, they can put it in. So putting the listing in as a coming soon is meeting that requirement of having it in the MLS.
okay.
Now, if you have a seller that says, I don't want to do a coming soon, then you want to make sure you don't put any type of sign in the yard until you're ready to put it into the MLS. So obviously they wouldn't be able to have a coming soon sign on, anywhere unless they're willing to put it into the MLS as a coming soon listing.
Okay, so when we see a coming soon sign in that front yard, we ought to be able to go to the coming soon section in the MLS and find out.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, thanks
Absolutely.
so much.
You're welcome. All right, let me see if I have any other hands that I've maybe missed. All right, Tani, looks like we've got. Can you hear?
Yes.
Can you
hear
ask
me?
your question? Yes, I can.
Yes. You actually just answered my coming soon question, but when I was putting in a listing the other day, I tried to put in a future date for the market date, and it said that I could only put in today's date. It wouldn't let me put in a future date. So
Correct.
am I doing something wrong?
Not for the marketing date. So if you, so your marketing date is when you're, by definition, it's when your seller tells you to put it in the MLS. So if you're putting it in as a coming soon, then your marketing date is going to be the date that you put it in as a coming soon. So
I just mean a
regular
listing, not a coming soon. Yeah.
Right. So if you're in a partial status, if you're putting it in early as a partial,
yes,
because it doesn't let you put it out in the future, you would have to put it as the date that you're putting it in as a partial. What you'll need to remember, though, is when you go to make it active, you want to make sure that market date is the date that you're making it active.
Okay.
We have a reminder set so that before, when you click on Save as Listing, it should come up and say, make sure your list date is correct, make sure your market date is correct, and make sure your expiration date. So it'll be a reminder there for you to make sure that that market date is the date that it's going active.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, let me see if I have any other hands here. Hopefully I've gotten to everybody, but let me just make sure here. All right, Christie, it looks like we've got one from her. All right, Christie, it says that you need to enter your PIN number to unmute yourself. So I'm not able to unmute you. If you want to, you can type your question down below. Christie, if we can't unmute you, if you can type it, I'm happy to answer a question if you still have one. And it looks like I've answered all of the other questions. I'll give Christie a minute to maybe type in her question if she can. I think I've gotten everybody else here. Make sure. Yeah, I think I've answered all the other questions. I don't see anything coming in from Christie. So, so at this time, I think we're going to go ahead and end our webinar. Please understand that we are still here at the board office, even though we're not taking foot traffic coming in. We are here to answer all your questions. Please don't hesitate to call us. I can answer those. Lois can also answer all of the clear cooperation questions coming in. So please feel free to give us a call if anything comes up and you have questions about this. And of course, it's coming into play on April the 1st. All of this will start up on that day. We will be here in the office. We'll be happy to answer any questions that come in or anything you might have a question about. So let me see. Yes, Dan, you can absolutely get a copy of this presentation. What I'm going to do is turn my little PowerPoint presentation into a PDF, and I will have it on the PAR Wiki site. So if you visit parwiki.com, then you will be able to get a copy of my PowerPoint presentation. You can give that out to your agents. You'll also find the flyer that is the 5 important facts you need to know about clear cooperation. That will be another good handout that you will have to give to your agents. So yeah, but if anything else you need, please don't hesitate to give me a call or give Lois a call. And we're happy to help you out and get you through this new policy. So thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate your attendance, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you, Windii.
All right, thank you.